Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Loreweek. I am your host, Loredude. Got a little bonus thing we might do today. We'll see. We'll get to that. For right now, as always, I want to talk about a bit of show news right up the front. The first thing I want to mention is the fact that we are going to have a big vote. Based on my current schedule, I'm pretty sure it's going to be next Loreweek, as in a week from today. That would be February 2nd, on what we stream next. I've got a whole thing lined up for that, so hopefully we'll have people there. Whoops, that's the wrong button. Where the heck? One moment. Having some issues. There we go. Okay, so yeah, we're going to have to look over that and see what you guys think. Again, that's going to be up to you. I'm going to leave that vote up. Actually, I guess now that I think about it, we're going to be closing that poll really quickly. So you're basically going to have a day to vote on that, give or take. So make sure that you're ready to be voting on that next week. Hello, Hazardous, SJ, and If and But. Good morning, all of you. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what the poll is going to be about now, so that you're a little more prepped for it. Basically, we're going to be streaming, so starting tomorrow we'll be streaming Black Mesa, which will be about a 2-day stream, and by about I mean exactly. Immediately after we finish Black Mesa, we'll be streaming Warcraft 3 Reforged. Immediately after that, we'll be streaming through Shovel Knight. As soon as we finish Shovel Knight, we'll be, or excuse me, no. After we stream Warcraft 3 Reforged, we'll be streaming KOTOR, then we'll be streaming Shovel Knight. So I guess we might leave the poll up for a couple of days, but either way, it's going to be closed relatively quickly. Immediately after we finish streaming Shovel Knight, which is the last stream on the current thing, there's going to be a poll for exactly what we stream next, because we've kind of got an open schedule up until about March. I know that's just a month, but that means we have a month to do whatever we want to work on, which we can focus on one of two categories of streams. This is what the poll is going to be. Do you want to focus on streaming games that came out last year, 2019 games, or do you want to focus on streaming games that have been in the queue for a long time, basically? Those are the two categories, and you guys will be able to vote on that. I've already got a list of games that apply to both categories and where their current ratings are, blah, 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 blah. Also, we're going to be restructuring the way the stream funding list works to try and make it a little bit more clear. The catch is I'm not 100% sure how to physically do that. I need to consult with either Third or Zalok in order to try and figure out how to actually make that happen. But I think it's a doable thing. We'll see. Either way, that's something we're going to be working on. I suppose I could give you a little bit of a sneak peek. The general idea is that rather than... people constantly look at that list and say, aha, look, you know... RimWorld isn't funded yet, and the reason, and I'm like, what do you mean? Why isn't RimWorld funded? And they say, well, because the bar isn't full. Okay, so that doesn't work that way. So what we're going to do is try to switch that around a little bit, so it's a little more clear that the bar being full has nothing to do with anything. I'm still not 100% sure exactly how this is going to come across, but the general idea is you're going to see the bar will be full regardless, and then you'll see the game name, the color, and the amount of money put towards it. And I need to add an additional variable, which I need to add to the sort list. That's what I don't know how to do. That way, if you look at the website right now and you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see the funded list. That's kind of a preview of what the new list is going to look like. So instead of being, 378 out of whatever, or 385 out of whatever, you'll just see the bar. It's just a full bar. The end. So that's probably where we're going with that. Again, I need to figure out how to add the additional variable, and once that's done, we'll be cool. Again, I'm still working on it. Moving on. I guess that's actually it for show news. Let me double check my thoughts. I need to add to the website, we are going to be doing a stream discussion on, that's going to be on the 16th of February, about the Sonic movie. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about random news. I don't actually have a lot of random news this week. This is always the problem with having news as a feature at all, is because sometimes there's just no news. I mean, I could talk about Winnie the Flu, but, you know. Nothing. I don't really have anything to discuss about the theater today. So I've been really sick for most of the last week, and so a lot of my not on camera time has been spent either in the bathroom or in bed. So I haven't actually been doing a lot of theater work today. This morning is one of the first mornings in several days I've been doing theater work. Although Beat Nuki did finish all of Puck's lines, so that's awesome. We are still, of course, continuing to push through the theater and still getting lines and blah, 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 blah. As always, looking forward to that. I will say, if you want me to talk about the theater really briefly, I will say one thing, and that's that I was putting in Puck's lines for Chapter 6, and there are now several entire scenes which are fully voice-acted, and just, oh, it sounds so awesome! Anyways, I found myself getting slightly excited. Slightly. Incredibly enthused. Thank you very, very much, Retro Justice. Very much appreciate and oblige the sub, as ever and as always. Thank you. Now, I will put that towards Disco, the game of Doom. I have already done a stream about Episode 9, Poogity Poo. It is already on the forbidden list going forward. So, if you want me to do any ruminations on it, no. Now, so as I said, random news. Like I said, I don't have that much this week. I do have a couple things that are interesting. So we actually mentioned this during the Kingdom Hearts stream, but I'm going to go and link this as some of you are actually aware. They are working on a new mobile game, and we all love mobile games, right? And it's a Xehanort-focused mobile game. It's a Xehanort prequel. And we'll see. We don't even have the beginnings of information on that. All we have is the announcement that they're making a game. It's going to be focused on a Xehanort prequel, and it's going to be on the mobile. That's all we know. That could be good. It could be meh. It could be terrible. Like, we hit the whole spectrum here of possibility. So, yeah. Moving on. I do have 2 bits of good news, believe it or not. In fact, not only do I have 2 bits of good news, I have 2 bits of good news legally. Now, I'm going to link, there's actually a bunch of articles here, but I'm just going to link this one, overall article, which should help to illuminate what's going on here. So, first of all, there's a gentleman, here, I'll go ahead and give you the link. There's a gentleman who plays RuneScape, who was muted over in RuneScape. He decided to file a lawsuit alleging that the company engaged in, and I quote, discrimination against him, violated his free speech, and violated due process. Bobville, Cole Walker. I don't know, dude. It'll be something stupid. There, that's the truthful answer, because it's Kingdom Hearts. I love you, Kingdom Hearts, but your titles are stupid. Moving on. And, damn it, stop subbing. Thank you very, very much, Akira Kurusu. Very much appreciate and oblige the sub, as always. Thank you. I do very much appreciate it. If you happen to know what you'd like to put that towards, as far as increasing interest or priority in a future stream, please let me know. But the long and the short of it is he decided to sue them. Now, you're probably thinking, what? This actually happened April of last year. Now, this went to a local judge, a district judge, specifically, who said, no. So then he appealed it, because of course he did. And then so that gets kicked up to the appeals court, and I'm trying to find this specific court. I can't actually find it. Whatever, I was reading this earlier, but it got appealed, which means it gets kicked up a step, and the appeal said no, which, by the way, means that's pretty much the end of that, because that's how our legal system works. Now, you're probably thinking, duh, of course he would. No, it doesn't work that way. I've said this many times, and I'll say this many times again. Legality land and reality land are completely segregated. How many times have you seen a judge ruling or a legal ruling that does not conform to reality? Because I've seen that happen many times. It is actually, in my frank opinion, a rarity when legality and reality actually coincide. So, if I walked up to you and said, "Hey, this guy wants to sue that his freedom of expression, his civil rights were violated by being kicked out of an MMO," you'd say, "Duh, of course not." That's reality. However, the fact that this is being confirmed legality-wise means this is an important step with regards to establishing precedents, especially since it went to appeals, which is how precedent is actually set. Yeah, this could, as Chloe Light said, this could have gone really badly. How badly? This could have set the precedent, again, because it went to appeals court, that I couldn't ban someone from my Twitch, because it's the same thing. So, this is good. This is a good thing that this happened. Speaking of which, I know it's weird to take the side of Nintendo, but, oh, where's my note? Where's my link? There it is. Back in 2013, I actually reported on this, if you guys remember this. Back in 2013, iLife Technologies, which is a patent troll, decided to try and sue Nintendo for the Wiimotes. You remember that? For the motion controls? I'm sure most of you actually have heard of this. Nintendo actually gets hit with patent trolls all the damn time. That just recently, and I don't remember, it's like extreme. I don't have the timestamp here. It's like just a few days ago. This was finally officially no really ruled in favor of Nintendo, because what actually originally happened was there was a Texas judge and court which ruled in favor of Life Technologies, saying, yeah, no, Nintendo totally violated their patent. Nintendo appealed that, and then that was fought for about 2 years. For those of you not aware of how this works here in the States, the criminal justice system and the civil justice system are very, very, very different animals. In the criminal justice system, you have something that's called right to speedy trial, which basically means any given criminal case isn't going to take longer than about 9 to 18 months on the high end. That doesn't apply at all when it comes to civil cases. Civil cases can last years, and corporate civil cases normally last years. Anyways, having gotten that out there, so yeah, after 2 years of this has actually technically been working on for about 6 years, all told. The judge finally, this is a federal Dallas court specifically, the judge finally ruled in favor of Nintendo, saying, no, Life Technologies, you're dumb and stupid, screw you. Again, good thing. Which I know sounds really strange and stupid to comment on, but to be completely blunt, even though Nintendo does many horrible and shady things corporate-wise, patent trolls can go to frickin' hell. So, and again, the more cases that are won against patent trolls, the better. Especially since, if you're paying attention, yes, this was once again an appeal. If you don't get the point, appeals cases are how precedence for case law actually happens. I know that's a strange thing, and I only found this out a few years ago. But the way it basically boils down to, as much as I can summarize this from an outsider's, amateur's perspective, is, yeah, no kidding, Chloe Light, is that if I'm a judge, and I say, Rax, I declare thee to be, that blue hair is illegal, and then you can say, well, precedence has been set. Well, no, it hasn't. Precedence will be set when Rax appeals it. It goes to the appeals circuit, and then they make a ruling. And the appeals ruling then becomes precedence for case law. And both of the cases I just brought up were appeal circuits, so both of these are now a part of precedence for case law. So, yay! It's so rare that I have something positive to say about legality that I had to share that with you guys. You know? And yeah, it's also possible, as Chloe Light puts out, it's possible for things to be shoved up and up and up. And yeah, the higher tier the court, and there are many tiers in the United States, it's ridiculous. But the higher tier, the more impact it has, the more weight it has when used in the future. Last bit of random news. This one I'm not sure what I think of. So, other than the fact that the people in that forum are apparently morons, like, so what they're announcing is the possibility of adding a subscription model to EU4, so that you don't have to drop money on, you know, like, let's say Max Time, who has never played EU4, wants to actually play EU4. Well, it'll cost him maybe $2 to buy EU4, and then closer to $100 to buy all the DLC. This has always been a barrier to entry when it comes to basically every Paradox game. It's effectively their financial model. So what they're trying to push for is the idea of having a subscription thing so that you just subscribe and that gives you access to all of the DLCs rather than just dropping the $100 up front. Interesting idea. Not sure what I think of it. No, subscription for content that has already come out. Go ahead. This has nothing to... I don't know where you're getting that from. The end, I suppose? I'm not actually sure. Basically, it's an interesting method. This is all still in the very beginning phases. Like, they just announced... When was this post? Tuesday. Last Tuesday. They just posted this and we're like, hey, you know. I'm in favor of this. I know that sounds extremely strange. But it depends on how they implement it. It depends on how much it costs. It depends on how, you know, what's going to be involved with what you gain access to, depending on what you do, and blah, 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 blah. We'll see. But I am in favor of lowering barrier to entry, and to be perfectly blunt, the thing that should happen isn't going to. And you're probably thinking, well, lore, what should happen? Most games out there, and I can point to World of Warcraft as a good example of this, has a thing where, let's say you buy WoW, just WoW, now. If you purchase World of Warcraft right now, what you get is everything up to Legion. Just the whole thing. Because previous expansions are baked into the vanilla product. That's what should be happening with Paradox. Now, I know it's a different financial model, but that is still what should be happening. So, for example, I don't actually remember the last DLC, but basically what should be happening is if you buy EU4 now, you get all of the DLC up to, probably not the cosmetic ones, I don't care about those, but all of the base actual expansions up to the most recent one, and then if you want the most recent one, you buy that. So old DLC should be baked in other words. They don't do that because they want money, because Paradox. So, since they're not doing that, a subscription fee hypothetically might work. It depends, again, it depends on all the variables, and we don't know the variables yet, which is why this is just random news. We'll see how this develops. I'll be watching this because I'm very curious. But what I find strange is like some of these forum responses, if I can just share these really quick here. Is it possibly less cryptic to tell us what this will do? Should we expect a drop in performance? Why would this affect performance? Will this fix multiplayer crashes? Why would this affect multiplayer crashes? You're saying this will reduce threshold with no changes, but you're rolling DLCs into the game. So is this a telemetry thing? What exactly is being done? It's just a subscription. This is so simple. Anyways, sorry. I just had to rant there. Red cookie, rant off. Yes, you absolutely can, in fact, do that, Akira. You got it, DAO. And thank you again very much for the sub. Much obliged, sir. I enjoy Paradox games a lot, but I have been very carefully and quietly buying up Paradox DLCs over time, and a lot of them were also gifted to me, especially when it comes to EU4. So, speaking of which, for those of you not aware, I have added Crusader Kings 3 to the vault, for anybody curious about that. Is that it? Is that it for random news? That is it for random news. So let's move on to the only actual topic I have this week. Star Trek. Spoilers. Lore credits are a new feature for Twitch that are there to encourage people to interact, chat, and otherwise be present. So I'm going to go and throw this up for reasons I'll get into in a minute. Interesting, Chloe Light. I'm just gonna walk away from that one. Stretching here. Oh my god, someone actually recognizes what this means. Well, yes, this means spoilers. That's what this means. It was his sled. That means we're going to spoil the episode. For those of you not aware, one episode of Star Trek Picard has gone live, and I have something to talk about it. I didn't originally, which is kind of the point, actually. So for those of you who care about not being spoilers, no, I haven't watched it. I won't be watching it until March. But for those of you curious, I do have a topic. Just kind of give everyone a moment. I always like to give a little bit of a barrier period here before we talk about it. Now, I should mention something. When I say spoiling, the only thing that is spoiled is stuff that is in the trailer. So I suppose that's something that's worthy of mentioning. Doo-doo-doo. You have until I finish wiping off this glass, and then I'll be done. We'll get some food, Cord. And see you around, Drax. Obviously, I have not seen it, so I cannot comment on its quality. I've seen some of the dialogue, because duh. And I kind of have a hard time judging a show's quality based on the first episode anyways. Good or bad. So, it was his sled!
Welcome. Pay close attention. Hopefully you'll learn something.
It was Shikor! In the dining room with the candlestick! Well, thank you very, very, very much, Shikor. Very much appreciate and obliged as always. Thank you very much, sir. I knew it, Colonel Mustard! It was always you. Path of Radiance. He killed me with a donut? How do you kill someone with a donut? Don't answer that. And Chrono Trigger. You got it. Okay, so I do actually have a topic here. But let's talk about the show briefly before we get to the topic. I've heard almost universally positive things about it. I actually perused a few reviews about, you know, what people thought of it, and apparently episodes 1 through 3 were all tossed out as review copies a few weeks ago. So people have already seen episodes 1 through 3. This is the closest thing to an actual spoiler. The plot doesn't actually get started until episode 4. Tee-hee-hee. Like, episode 3 is going to end with engage, if you follow me. Now, of course, that actually does make sense. It legitimately does. I've talked about this so many times. I'm in favor of a slow burn, and I do like a show, which is by definition an episodic long-term storytelling medium, to take its time into telling a story. You don't need to cram everything into one episode, right? So, this is another reason why I have trouble gauging the quality of the show based on this, because the first 3 episodes are probably going to be different from episodes 4 and onwards. We'll see, of course. We've got about 2.5 weeks now before we can really judge that one. I will say I've seen several shots, and it seems they've fixed the camera issues from Discovery, so that's nice. Probably Crocodile. And in a week, you guys will have a choice in helping to vote whether or not we'll be playing those sooner or later. Now, see, I completely disagree with that, Weodes, but that's just me. And I suppose I shouldn't say that. I agree with you if that's what the show is doing. I disagree with you if that's not what the show is doing. Depends on what the show's going for. So, I mean, yeah, Babylon 5 is an excellent example of the first few episodes not being indicative of the rest of the episodes. That's a good show. Yeah, I agree, Kaon. The main issue is still there, Alex Kurtzman, but moving on. The episodes, I do like the little nods. What was it? Cassidy Freight or whatever. That's awesome. And what else was there? There was something else that I remember reading about that amused me. That was the big one. The Cassidy shipping. I wonder how much money she makes in the current environment. I also need to try and sell other lore on the idea of our characters establishing a android worker force on Utopia Planitia, which will not only lead into the episode, but also help to explain why the shipbuilding capacity went up so much during the Dominion War. So we could tie up two little loose ends there, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. But yes, the last Picard showing, the last Star Trek, really, prior to this, in canonically speaking, was Nemesis. So, interesting idea. True enough. Mimesis. I don't think I've heard of that one, Retrobrock. What do I think of Fallen Order? It was a good game. So I don't actually have much else to share about the episode itself. It was all stuff I was basically expecting. You know, data, synthetics, refugees. They are examining the Hobus supernova issue, and if I'm being honest, they're slightly retconning the Hobus supernova thing. But that's okay, because they're doing it in a way that tries to make it make more sense rather than less. The Federation didn't reach out to offer large-scale aid to the Romulans, which is interesting, to say the least. And of course, well, here's the big one, and this is the topic right here. I suppose in the interest of warning, I am also going to do an incredibly minor spoiler for Thor 3, aka Thor Ragnarok. So if you, for whatever reason, don't want that to be spoiled, I would recommend going ahead and bowing out. And I swear this is connected. Yes, I'm going to connect Star Trek Picard and Thor Ragnarok seamlessly. You won't even notice how similar they are. You know why? How many of you have seen Thor Ragnarok? Just staring at chat here. I've only watched it twice, so once in theaters and once for the rumination. I've already done my rumination on Thor Ragnarok, so I'm going to basically be repeating myself a bit here. But it's okay, because that episode doesn't go live until, like, November, so I'm not super worried about it. Yeah, so Thor Ragnarok, there's a certain point in the film at which, spoilers, the Hulk shows up. Now, this is actually fun. I'm sitting here to see your guys' reaction to that. Here's the thing. When I was rewatching Thor Ragnarok, I realized something. The Hulk reveal is a spoiler. It's actually a big moment. It's something that's so big, and if you're paying attention to the movie, which I wasn't really until the rumination, there are no hints. There's only the tiniest bits of you gotta fight some big monster dude, and that's it. There was no hints, no build-up, no nothing. And so the reveal is actually a really big moment. The moment they reveal him, it's Hulk all over the place. It was effectively a form of a twist. Or a reveal. Whatever. You screwed up my terminology now. Hang on. This would be... Yeah, this would be a twist. This would be a twist. Sorry, let's be more clear. So it was actually a plot twist. It was basically the first scene shown in the trailer. And that's my point. One of the best moments of the film was 100% smashed because of a trailer. Sit back and think about it for a moment. Actually remove yourself from the film and kind of go through it in your head and realize how much that moment has, the impact it has, and the power of it. and how much it completely changes the story from that moment onwards. All of that nuked because they had to put it in the trailer. How does this relate to Picard? Because the Borg are in Picard. And that's not really a spoiler, is it? It was in the trailer. And that's my point. The final shot of episode 1 is a Borg cube. It's a big moment. Like, I've actually seen this. This is one of the only bits of the episode I've actually watched. There's no real thing. It's not like, you know, we've got to go to the Borg. No, it's just the whole episode is this whole thing about the android and the synthetics and the refugees and blah, blah, blah. And then they get to the end and it's like, yeah, we're in this the reclamation, the Romulan Reclamation Center. Camera moves out, cube, cut to black. Or cut to credits, rather. That's a great moment. That is 100% ruined. Because everyone already knows the Borg are in this. We knew Hugh was going to be in this months and months ago. They revealed 7 sometime later. Most of the early shots showed the frickin' cube. This is the concept of no men, by the way. No mentioning. Because even though that's... spoilers is a broader topic than people tend to actually think it is, with regards to designing things. And because spoilers... Most people think spoilers are, it was his sled. Most people think of it as some big, massive twist. Or, oh my god, yeah, he was dead all along, or whatever. Oh, it was Rax with a candlestick. Oh, no, Shikor, sorry. Shikor with the frickin' donut. You know, they think of that when they think of spoilers. But many years ago, I came to the realization that you can spoil moments just as much as you can spoil plot twists and reveals. Because those moments are sapped of their impact because you know it's coming. You already knew about it before you even sat down and watched it. Yeah, a perfect example of this is the recent Godzilla film. Where the final battle, the big, awesome final battle, was frickin' in the trailers. Why would you do that? Well, last Thursday, Magister. This then leads to the second part of the discussion I have here. Because obviously, you know, trailers spoil, and in related news, water's wet. But the other topic, which really is messed up when you think about it, is they have to, don't they? Or at least they think they have to. Because the mentality, and this is not me speculating, the mentality that goes into these things is they have to build up hype so that people are interested in the product. If they don't, well, then people they're not going to get those initial sales. They're not going to get the subscriptions. They're not going to get the tickets. They're not going to blah, 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 blah. This is a product, and they hooks. And so they spoil, or rather mention, to be more accurate, but they mention things, and they give away things in order to try and drag more people into the product. And this is the wonderful dichotomy of making fiction in general, really. Because you basically always have to take that economic account into mindset. Now, personally, I do think it is possible to not do what they do. But at the very least, I could kind of understand why they do what they do. Because, again, they're trying to hook people in. Per exemple, most people who were going to watch Star Trek Picard were probably already going to watch Star Trek Picard. That's not what the Borg reveal was for. The Borg reveal was for people who weren't going to watch Star Trek Picard. The Borg reveal was for people who have some understanding of either TNG or Voyager or whatever, and were like, oh, dude, the Borg are going to be in it. Sold! And I'll be honest, I actually know 2 people personally who were exactly in that camp, who were not interested in the show until they revealed that the Borg will be in it, because the Borg are a crowd pleaser. Like it or not, the reason Voyager kept hammering the Borg note over and over and over on like a broken piano was the fact that the Borg are popular. So, as Silder says, how the hell do you show a trailer at all? Well, there are ways to do it. And there are. But those require time and effort and work and money. So, realistically speaking, in reality land, most people are probably just going to say, screw it, and we're going to get, trailers that ruin everything. One of the things you can do, though, since you did bring up the topic, is you can make brand new stuff. You can make something new that's named Larian, who's putting it towards Horizon Zero Dawn. And say thank you very, very much, Larian, for the sub. Much obliged as always, thank you. So yeah, you can do the thing where you make brand new content for the trailer, and just put that in the trailer. Or you can do things... Actually, one of my favorite examples ever of a trailer is actually a teaser. It's the Age of Ultron teaser. Anyone remember that? All it was quotes from Avengers, and you were showing a picture of an Iron Man helmet, which was slowly being hammered into the shape of Ultron's helmet. And then, the screams and the horrible music, and then shunk, cut to credits. Now that was an excellent teaser, but it was technically a teaser, not a trailer. The trailers were still good, though. They still showed, well, some of them were still, I shouldn't go so universal on that one. But yeah, that wasn't... I mean, we could give our opinions on Age of Ultron left to right, but you get the idea. The idea of trying to get across premise without giving away major moments is something you can do. However, we should probably mention that the only reason that the MCU can get away with doing stuff like that at all is because of the fact that it's the MCU. Pre-established base. Bringing this back to Picard, Picard does not have a pre-established base. Not really. And the reason why is because Discovery. I'm not saying Discovery is good. I'm not saying Discovery is bad. My opinion on that show has no reckoning on anything. What I am saying is that Discovery was divisive. And as a consequence of that, well, they had issues, basically. Basically, Picard is in the exact opposite position that Discovery was when Discovery went live. You remember that? When Discovery went live, it had a huge established fan base. You know why? Because it was the first Star Trek show in years upon years upon years. Over a decade. And it's like, oh my god, a new Star Trek show. That's all they had to do. New Star Trek show. Bam, there's your marketing. Then Discovery happened, and now they're making another new show. Picard, and now it's like, well, hang on, because Discovery, So now they got to get hooks into people. I will, however, say that I firmly and 100% disagree with them giving away the Borg in the trailers. And the reason why is because they had plenty of things to sell people without involving the Borg, in my opinion. They could have completely ejected the fact that Hugh's actor is in it. They could have completely ejected Jerry Ryan. They could have completely ejected the Borg shots and basically left the rest of it intact. Brent Spiner's involved. Patrick Stewart's involved. It's going to be set post-Nemesis. It's going to involve, it's going to continue the story going forward. It is set in the main timeline. It is going to address the Romulan disaster. There's going to be some synthetic thing, blah, 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 blah. There are plenty of hooks there for people. Yeah, the Enterprise is going to be in there. In my opinion, even for people who are not a part of the initial or the secondary audience, there are still plenty of hooks there to get people involved without jumping on the Borg button. Yeah, notice I'm not mentioning that, Justin. Despite this thing. I am aware of the first episode, by the way. I've read the full synopsis multiple times. Anyways, yeah, I actually agree with Regibrock. It feels like they did it specifically because, oh god, quick, we need more people involved. I find myself wondering how well CBS All Access is selling. Because, No, it'll only be a Borg spoiler. I mean, I guess that's fair, Blue Wolf Alex. I personally would have ejected Jerry Ryan because I'm a weirdo when it comes to marketing. But, for the record, she does not show up in episode 1. Neither does Hugh. Which is kind of my point. Episode 1 was all about the Romulan situation and fallout, and another thing I'm not going into. And so it's like... Borg cube. Again, it's really well done, except for the fact that we all knew it was coming. I actually know someone personally who watched Picard, and his overall feeling was, I kept wondering, this is a paraphrase quote, I kept wondering when the Borg were going to come into it. Because he knew. Yeah, episode 1 is basically recap, which it needs to be, in all fairness. It's been years. I've actually done some looking into this. And they apparently have not actually nailed down, to our understanding, the exact year the episodes are happening in. Sometime in the 2400s, probably? But again, the range it could be is pretty wide. It's from like 2392 to 2401 or something like that. So somewhere in that range, based on the information they give, is when the episode's actually happening. But I'm getting off topic. Point being, to my knowledge, they have not mentioned anything DS9 other than the Cassidy Yates reference. That's all we know. So, and it is a very brief blink and you'll miss it reference. But Cassidy Yates' shipping freight company is still going strong, so that's nice. Yeah, they did make the Hobus Supernova thing a little less ridiculous, which they needed to because J.J. Abrams... excuse me, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to put that on Abrams' thing. Orky and Kurtzman do not understand what supernovae are. I will admit I'm curious where the show is going. I already mentioned earlier I'm not actually going to be sitting down and watching the show until March. I suppose I should explain why, because the show won't be done until March. It's coming out week by week up until I looked it up. March something? No, we don't, Tigzar, because we don't know the year it's happening in. I want to say it's like March 19th or something like that. March 19th or March 26th. I forget which. Somewhere in March is when the final episode of Season 1 will be going live. They've already greenlit Season 2. And they're already working on getting more people involved in Season 2. Shrug. I know, right, Dream Whisperer? There was a supernova that was happening. It was it was threatening the entire galaxy. It would have continued expanding infinitely. We'll see. We'll see. Like I said, this is... I don't know. I admittedly don't agree with that, Elder. But I will admit that it's not as black and white as a situation as it could be, which of course is kind of the point. That's really the point I was trying to make. It's the horrible... Like I said, the horrible reality is unless you are independently wealthy and can self-publish, you basically have to ruin your own work in order to get it out there at all. It's another reason I tend to be so anti-spoilers even for older stuff. Because 10 years from now, someone might be able to watch Star Trek Picard without, all the marketing buzz and hype and know-how of what's going on in the show, and actually frickin' appreciate it, rather than, having it be spoiled from the ground up. So, yay. Anyways, believe it or not, that's all I got this week. Like I said, not a very big news week. So, I'm going to chop off the local recording.